going to bring up some points, right, that we talked about. I think I've beat it enough to death that you guys, hopefully, I don't have to ask you if you remember it. 66, I brought it up multiple times. We brought it up while we were live on YouTube and a few times on watch list that this was the spot that I said load up the puts. If you guys remember from the cloud standpoint, right? I can bring that up as well, just so you guys understand. When we are talking about cloud and the importance of it when it's closed, and a lot of people, if you're new to trading, right, these are not, I would say, your typical things that you can find on the street laying around and pick up the clouds. So I kind of want to show you that and why we are loading puts, right? So here's this. Oops. So if you guys remember, this was the first step to what we talked about. We talked about the full send. If you're not here, I warned people that the bottom was in when we started rocketing, and then we talked about, right, kind of where we circled this. I haven't really touched it. Is that this was our spot for loading SPY puts, and you want to go heavier, and that's bread and butter for me, or it has been, especially when the cloud like this one is closed. What that means is if you look at the shading between the clouds, you see the darker spot on the top, and it's much lighter on the bottom here, right? So let me hide this. So if you guys look, you can tell the difference. And this setup here is called basically a bearish money shot. There's a very high chance that we're going to be headed somewhere around here in the near future. And then ultimately they can go back to 49.72 or 49.66. But right now, this was the point that I was making. And then if you go look at the charts here, it was also our 2024 Q4 value area high, right? And then I posted and I explained to you guys in the chat, if you guys remember, just to give you an idea of where we were, right? And why, right? And the rest of it's you trusting what you're seeing and not being invalidated by the trades, right? So now if you guys look at SPY, look what's happening here. Does this look like a spot for me to initiate longs here? Why and why not?
No, because you're at the top.
Well, think about it. This is quarterlies, right? This is going to be your Q3 value area high. Then you have, you have a POC, and then you have the developing value area high here as well. And then you have the Q1 value area high here as well. And this area right here, this is not where you come out to be a hero and buy, puts. This is where they're selling. I'm telling you that they're selling in this area. Sure, we can go to all-time highs, but eventually I would not be shocked, if we revisit this fairly quickly here, probably within a few days, maybe even tomorrow. And then ultimately we're looking to see, how are we going to handle this 534 level? So that's what I would say that, your next level in terms of targets are, it's probably something like this. Okay. Does that make sense? And I don't know if Drew, are you streaming on YouTube or not? Can't tell. I don't know if you guys will have a recording on this. So that was SPY and the reason why. So now if you go on ES, it's the same thing, right? And just recently when we had the watch list, right, we talked about I posted it a few times that there was an issue on the weekly and that we should pay attention to it. And we talked about it, I believe, last night a little bit. I think Erica explained it pretty nicely, but let's see if you guys remember it. What did we say about this profile that was developing that we didn't like? I remember drawing it out in details, but I want to see if you guys are following it because you guys have to remember this pattern for the future.
Overlapping small value area.
Overlapping small value area. And what did we say about the value area high?
But it wasn't at the top.
But it wasn't at the top, and then they tried multiple times, and the value did not shift. So the perceived value at the top is not there, right? That means the value is going to shift lower, right? And then we talked about that there was a lot of, if you guys remember, I would say ledges or failed tops meaning that there was a lot of exhaustion occurring, right? If you guys remember that weekly profile on TPO, and I'll bring it up here. You guys remember how he said, I called it unfortunately, like a little chubby child. If you guys remember, a fat little thing, look at it. Does this look like a lot of proper auction happening? No, this is far from it, right? So you didn't have a lot of access. You had a failed auction at the top, and then you have a perfect distribution, and now a double distribution happening here, and you're way below it. Now you're basically at this level here at prior week value area low. You're sitting here, and probably should go on ETH here. So it's sitting right here, and then ultimately the next level here is 59.30, right, in this area. And then I would say they're most likely going to tap this 59.09 here fairly shortly, right? That would be at least the levels that you're looking at. And then yesterday we talked about the importance of the 59.88. Do you guys recall that? Do you guys remember what I said overnight?
The 3-week onside?
That's correct. And last night I said, if it comes here, that the first tap is what? You can go back to the recording if you don't believe me. I said, first tap here, you want to go long. And of course, they offered pretty good points. Everybody thought about that, right? That's a big balance that we were in. And then we said, if you guys remember, I drew the colors and I said, if this is our balance high, and we are on RTH, so I'll go on RTH, and we drew something like this. You guys recall that? And we said, well, if you lose this level, then most likely you're going to be in this zone. And then let me give you a memory why. Because that happens to be a cumulative POC of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. So we said this is going to be a big level. And most likely we said if you lose this 87, remember I drew the little here, this is going to happen, right? We can catch these. I think it was like 67 points in that when we marked it properly. So now it's happening, right? So if you're not positioned for it right now, there's not much you guys can do, and you cannot beat yourself up over this, right? If you understand the market and the behavior of it, I gave you guys a little bit of warnings. I gave you guys the monthly clouds, right? When we kind of went over it quite a bit. You have to trust yourself in what you're seeing. A 10% stop loss on July 18 puts. You have to be realistic, right? If I'm grabbing, just to kind of give you guys a perspective on how to look at it, right? Let's say we shorted this at 66 right here. Well, I can't give it stop loss like this much, guys, and target in this. This doesn't make sense. It's impossible to do that. If this was possible every day, I would be a trillionaire in a very, very short period of time. Because this return 13 to 1 is like, wow. You have to give it space. I mean, something like this sounds reasonable. 50 points to make 150 points. I mean, that's much more reasonable, right? That you're going to be in a decent position and going. And here comes 59.30 here, guys, right now. So they're going to offer a relief bounce here at 35, just FYI. This level here will be a small relief bounce right to a penny off of this value area low. So now you're able to see this was our, on TPO, this is our value area low, and look where they're coming right now. They're defending that. But does this make sense? Do not expect, when you're buying time on options, you're not buying it tomorrow, you're down 10% and you close it. Sure, that's what your risk appetite is, but you're going to be stopped a lot more than you think, right? Especially when the market's pretty volatile and they're coming for the stops. Like this morning, and I'll show you guys, right at the open this morning, I sold my July 18 600 puts. I made $3 grand and I was like, that's good. Let's not talk about, right, what it could be tomorrow if I had those puts, right? Right now, SPY is at 593 and I had the 600 with the month and a week on time. It would probably be 500-600%, maybe $60,000-$70,000, but I made $2,000. That can also hurt. But missing a trade, you guys should not treat it like it's the end of the world, right? Unfortunately, I'd rather wish that I'm not making money and that there's no wars, but I was short not because of the wars, but because I expected news. And if you guys follow me, right, and understand, I believe the stock markets drive news rather the other way around. we're at a pretty important level. We talked about 60, 66. We set in between, there was 85 and 130. They were not able to get there, and they hit the monthly top cloud pretty aggressively, and the rest is just history. So considering we're going to have this massive, I would say, gap down tomorrow, and you see them bouncing right now off the 38. Pretty nice here, and that's multiple levels here. So just so you guys can understand what is happening here, let me hide something here so you guys are not confused. So if you take a look at the TPO, right, this is the value area high, value area low of the next day. Now look, they're coming to that level and they're trying to say, hey, how about we try to kind of trade in this area? How about we are happy in here? And what do you think the bears want? Well, bears are more like, well, how about we trade in this area, right? So now the fight's going to be here along with the May 5909 POC being in between, right? So is there going to be a chance for a short here? Probably, man. It's coming up. And we can find that, right? You can see, well, it's slowing down a bit. The auction is slowing down, right? You have a massive candle, and then you can see, on the volume, they're most likely going to go to 72 or somewhere around this area, and that would be a pretty decent short if they give you that. That's the only way I would take it. And ultimately, they're going to be here. So if you take this 72, you're targeting 59, I would say 20 to 09, right? You don't want to add in this green zone. So hopefully that makes sense to a lot of you. So tomorrow is going to be, it's going to be super, super important, right? Not many people expected the gap from 630, almost 100 points down. So we're going to have to see, do we open, first of all, do we open below this balance? If we do, and they give you a retest on this from the bottom, that's an easy short. We take that short. If they don't offer much bounces, then we're going to have to play a little bit stricter game, more in defense, to figure out what's the best entry for us to get in, right? If tomorrow we open around this level, right, which is our couple of weeks POC here, I'm trying to find. If we open here, what do you do?
Look for long.
You want to do nothing. Because why do you not want to do nothing tomorrow at this level? I was trying to make sure you guys kind of logically think of this one and why not.
We just got to make sure they hold it.
Well, first you want to make sure they're hold it, but this was a fair price of 5 weeks, right? So if the sellers are adamant that they want to sell it, then we really need to slice through it. Is there a chance that they come in here and this is a great buy? Yeah, there's a chance that this becomes a buy. But there's also a very high chance now that tomorrow the CTAs and all the hedge funds, because the VIX was low, guys. I kept telling you guys, VIX is super low. The VIX is, when it was reaching some of these levels, that's when what's cheap? The protection is cheap, meaning the puts are cheap to buy, implied volatility is low. Therefore, this is not a bad opportunity to, buy some VIX. I bought some VIX, I bought some spot puts, and look, VIX futures are at $22 right now. And that's mainly because the war event, right, that's happening. So does that make sense? So tomorrow when it opens, if you're not in a trade, right, you want to be careful how you play it. Don't go short. They're going to most likely offer some kind of relief bounce. They're trying to do it right now. Wouldn't be surprised if they go to 56, but I'm expecting them to tap this either tonight or tomorrow. Should be here. Maybe something like this. This would be ideal. Take a short here. You're talking about maybe 50 points or so. Target there. Don't beat yourself up if you're not in a puts. Honestly, I would not sweat it too much, just because there's another day. Any questions from anyone? If you're not, familiar with this, I can guide you guys tomorrow. Control, you're unmuted. Any questions? Yes, when VIX is high, so the component when you buy options, what is the only variable that's controlled by market makers in options?
What was the
VIV?
question?
So what is the only variable MMs control on options?
The IV?
The IV, implied volatility. So when there's no risk, they don't see any foresee, future concerns, the VIX drops. But when you announce a war, right, and you can imagine crude oil just rocketed. Yeah, so this was the bottom of that range that we were kind of watching, right? And they came very close to it, and now they're most likely going to go towards 82 guys or so, which would mean also that the dollar is plummeting, right? So the dollar is taking a beating. Wow, that's a pretty good low here. And then I would expect to see some movement on the bonds. No, they should go higher here. And Tesla should be much lower at the open tomorrow. It should be very close to this level we're targeting, 301, 300. And if you guys remember, we talked about it last night. This was the short I was looking, and I think, I don't know, I can't tell your name because you have so many symbols in it. He was in
Brown
Tesla.
paper bag.
Oh, okay. I'm not that good. He was in Tesla calls. I just wished him good luck yesterday because there was a very high chance Tesla was going to sell off today. Pretty sure we're going to find Tesla here tomorrow in the morning. So yes, Tesla puts should be okay tomorrow. Apple, we said 190 is coming on Apple. If you guys remember, we talked about it. I would say very high chance tomorrow that we're going to be first at 194. And I wouldn't be shocked somewhere around here we stop around 190 or so. And they didn't really have good earnings. Just FYI. Okay, well, I'll be live tomorrow. We'll see what we can do. And I would just say, please exercise caution tomorrow. Do not oversize. Go one MES. Let less do more. Don't force it. Let's just be patient and let the opportunities come to us tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Shorty.
Thanks.